Hand Mike Pence! Hand Mike Pence! Hand Mike Pence! Hand Mike Pence! Hand Mike Pence, right? Like, so we can sign off on the election? That's what we're chanting for? No, you're. Whoa! That is not what I was chanting. Holy shit! I am not with these guys. Ho! I just wanted to hand Mike Pence. Hey guys, how's it going? Come on in. It's time for another exciting episode of everyone's favorite YouTube sensation, Hand Mike Pence. I'm here doing the thing. I have been on the bench this week. I had a surgery last week. I had my two index toes amputated from the knuckle down, or up. The tip there. The tips are gone. Tips are gone, and I'm resting up. I got big ass ice packs on my feet right now, and I have not been at work all week. But what does that mean for the Hand Mike Pence movement? Well, I'll tell you what it means. It means that I've had a couple of fucking minutes, and now I know how to record my laptop. I know how to record myself doing a reaction video. Yeah, basically, like, this shit just escapes me, guys. Like, I'm an old fucking fogey, and I love it. I love it. I'm not good at it. I'm not good at any of this shit anymore. This shit is insanity. I fucking edited VHS tapes together, you guys. This is a whole other thing. But it turns out to be super easy. So I say super fucking easy. I already recorded this intro. Hey, Hand Mike Pence. Woo! But this is a whole new world for me, guys. I don't like, as much as I consider myself a YouTube stalwart. I've been here since day fucking one ish. And I don't even know how good of a reference that is to the Usos or anymore. I know fucking wrestling is a whole other world to me right now. I've fallen so far off, but it seems also like it's been in a little bit of a holding pattern. So I don't think I've really missed that much, even though, the parts that I've seen some fun stuff. Anyway, Hand fucking Mike Pence, you guys. We're here at the end, pretty much the end. I'm feeling like pretty good to go on my feet. They're a little sore. They're a little tender. I got those big ice packs right now, but like I get my stitches out this coming Monday. Today's Saturday, so 2 days I get the stitches out. Oh, I mean, thinking about it weirds me out still, but like, I'm getting there. And I think I could be back on my feet working like Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. But Tuesday, I'm feeling good about it, honestly. But I was feeling good about last Tuesday and Monday, kind of, before Friday. I was like, yeah, I'll probably be back to work Monday, maybe Tuesday. I might take Monday off. Like, I can't fit my fucking feet in my work boots, man. And that's like one of the reasons I'm getting the surgery, is my toe was misshapen like that because the fucking bone. And so, like, in my steel toe, like, that shit fucking hurts. Like, if I jam up against something and just my knuckle hits that fucking part of the steel toe, that goddamn sucks. And you can imagine if something heavy landed like half-inch behind my steel toe, it would just fucking smash that shit down. And that would have sucked. And that never happened. And I'm glad. I'm very happy to move forward with this surgery. In the past, I'm super excited about the future. I don't want to get too carried away with this intro because, as I alluded to before, I already tried this. And it turns out this headset, which I'm wearing as a gimmick because I'm doing a reacty, I gave props in the last intro to one time, Aaron Hinking, because he wanted us to do reaction videos a long time ago. And if we had listened to this motherfucker, we probably could have made any money at all off of YouTube instead of none. Not any money. Never any money from YouTube. We've been here since 2006, I'm pretty sure. Tales from a Wild Side. And this is Hand Mike Pence. This is my own separate fucking personal shit now that I'm a progressive lefty leaning meanie, and I don't want to get anyone else bogged down in the bullshit, since I had literal death threats from people when I said something to the effect of, if it's illegal to dislike Nazis, then take me to jail, please. where I did not threaten anybody with any kind of violence, if you'll notice. I'm kind of doing a pacifisty thing. Now, that's not to say, like, come punch me, because you don't want to come punch me. But I'm not going to come punch you. Like, whatever you say, I'm not going to come punch you. Just, just so we're clear. Like, it's not a matter of sticks and stones will break my bones, but it is a matter of, like, grow up. Just grow up. Leave people alone. If you can't get along with somebody, there's no reason to fucking try to provoke them into violence. The rub, the push, the idea today, with all the bells and whistles of the pomp and circumstance of this introductory thing, I'm trying to say we're going to watch some right wing ass punditry. I believe that's what it's called, because it's not actual, like, it's opinion based stuff. I do opinion based stuff. I don't fucking know anything. I don't have data, but I'm every man. I'm every man on the street. And every man on the street, you never know what every man on the street is thinking. And one thing for me is, God damn it, I hate to sound so typical, but that's actually a mechanism that's been built up to diffuse what I do, which is stop Nazis from happening and spreading their Nazi ideology. Because, oh, baby, that's just super destructive and dangerous for everyone involved. And it's real. It's really, really real. Really real. I think I've been very fortunate in my life. Not only was this the first ever, like, surgical operation I've ever endeavored or had to. You know, I still have my tonsils, still have my appendix. I've been lucky duck, but, like, I have had the luck, the to have experiences with people from different walks of life, like, along the way in my formative years, like, right where I fucking needed them, you know, and sometimes a little bit later than I needed them. And I'm sure I've talked about this either on Getting By with the Angry Guy or on Hand Mike Pens, but, like, you want to just go over the hits real quick? I'll go over the hits real quick. So I bullied someone super hard. I mean, not super hard, especially by today's standards, not super hard, but pretty fucking bad in first grade when I didn't realize it, and I learned the lesson in first grade. The teacher was basically like, "Hey, so I understand you bullied this kid," and I was like, "Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny." And the teacher was like, "It wasn't funny. Would that be funny if they did it to you?" I was like, "Oh, no, I would feel really bad if they did it to me." And then I said, "I'm sorry." And I actually super duper internalized that personally. And I don't think I ever addressed it directly. But in our later years, in, like, high school, junior high, high school, I actually went and, like, befriended this kid, like, because I have this, like, main character complex, and I think that I'm, gonna save the world or whatever, and, like, from time to time, I feel that way. I don't feel that way most of the time, but, like, things like that. Like, I stuck up for this kid on the bus. I, like, literally stood up for this kid on the bus against bullies because he got bullied every fucking day on the bus. It was, like, the super stereotypical thing, and it became so stereotypical that I had to say something. And it's like it didn't really deflect that badly onto me, but I ended up friends with this guy, and, like, I hope you're doing good these days, man. Fucking right on. Fuck the haters. God damn bullshit. But anyway, so that was the first hit. Another hit, I worked with a LGBT, a lesbian woman in at Blockbuster Video many years back, and I used the word gay when I meant bad, and I made a weird comment. Oh, weird was the comment. I think it's weird. She had a tattoo of a paintbrush, had, like, painting a rainbow, like a rainbow, and, like, with a paintbrush on the end, like, oh, this paintbrush just fucking painted the rainbow. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Now I'd probably say it's cool, but I was like, oh, that's weird. And it was obvious that I was being homophobic. And she was like, why is that weird? And I was like, because it's a tattoo of paint. So it's like a depiction of a different medium. That's all. Like, but and so that wasn't even a good, honest one. But I got the message. I was like, oh, I'm being homophobic, and that's not super cool. And oh, also at Blockbuster, I worked with a lady who literally grew up in Germany, and like as a child. And I was in high school when I met her. She was in her 30s or 40s, and she's like, I'm making inappropriate fucking Holocaust jokes and this really dark humor, and she's like, and she can joke with me. She's not, the Germans, but which is I'm doing a a joke about bigotry, right? Where, well, you can still, yeah, it's cool to make fun of the Germans because they kind of have it coming, no? Yeah, they do. But but she'd be like, I actually went to Auschwitz and it was it's real, and I'm like, okay, fucking, thank you for not being a Holocaust survivor to teach me that fucking lesson. I had a girl in high school that was in a class where we were doing exercise, one of those like, oh, you need to pick only 7 of these 11 people for your colony kind of thing, and there was all these descriptors, and it was like cultural and like professional descriptors, and it's like Arab chef or Arab cook, and someone in the group was like, oh, we're going to need this cook to make food for us, and I was like, I don't know, this is the joke that I went for. I'm like, I don't know, he's Arab, so he might like poison us or something. And a girl in my group, so it's like, I'm Arab. I don't even remember if I apologized. I later have reached out over the magic of the internet because I've thought about this many times, and I honestly don't remember if I apologized, but I feel bad now, And I don't even remember if this is pre or post 9/11. I feel like it's just barely pre 9/11, but that kind of goes to show you how the culture was like building to this crescendo of like Islamophobia and like anti-Arab sentiment. And like I bought it hook, line, and sinker when 9/11 happened. I was like, I mean, I didn't fucking say disparaging shit to Americans, you know, of any walk, but like I was like, yeah, let's just turn the fucking desert into glass. Let's fucking like I'm just like violence it. Some 17 at 9/11, guys. Anyway, um, so that's just the quick hits. That's where I'm coming from. I guess I'm sure there's other ones like oh man, yeah. Just know you don't have to um, be the worst version of yourself. Like we've all done things that we would, if we had the chance, probably do differently. I think is an easy thing we can all agree to. No regrets is a fib. It's a facade. It's a fraud. A facsimile, inherently unbearably flawed. Um, so anyway, oh man, what a tangent! Hand, Mike, pens. Hand, Mike, pens. Today, folks, we are breaking new grounds. I'm gonna do a reaction video. I'm gonna watch a Tucker Carlson program from last night, the whole thing. I'm just gonna watch this fucking guy's show. There's nothing of note. I haven't seen any clips of this show coming through from the usual channels that would show me something from Tucker Carlson or Ben Shapiro. And if I have enough fun with this, I will do one for Ben Shapiro too. Because here, yeah, there's the full circle thing. Because it comes bullies for me. It's uh, not a slippery slope, but a stepping stone to like authoritarianism, right wing propaganda, Nazism. Like it turns into Nazism. And I know that is the trope. That's like I see Nazis everywhere. But I do, okay, I like to say it as I don't see Nazis everywhere, but I do see the Nazis. Because there are Americans, red blooded Americans, blue blooded Americans, just like you and me, and they are, legally voting. They're, they have the freedom of speech. They have their right to bear arms, all these things. And they also happen to also call themselves Nazis. I'm not saying that everyone I disagree with is a Nazi. Very, very far from it. But in my opinion, this scourge, this insidious uh, element, this underlying filth on the crevices of our fucking society, it like Nazi stuff, and like with what's going on in the pop culture, and not even, I'm not plugged into this. I'm not a part of it, but like I'm gonna let my fucking voice be heard because first they came for the socialists, and if you're not actually familiar with this poem, like that's a sign of your ignorance as far as I'm concerned. And there are people who are anti-Nazi like me who don't know this poem, but like one of the most important lessons that the history surrounding World War II and the Holocaust and the Nazis and Hitler, one of the most important lessons that we can learn from this situation, in my opinion, is Nazis are bad. No, but the lesson is like it doesn't happen overnight. It it happens incrementally, and it happens by normalizing othering and minimalizing and what's the word that I'm actually looking for? Marginalizing groups of people, and it's an exclusivity. It's like everyone outside of this circle is bad, but we're here inside the circle, and we're good. And like, so first things first, guys, everyone on the outside of the circle, we gotta kill them. They're fucking gonzo, okay? So then, okay, now stick with me. After we kill everyone on the outside of the circle, then we're gonna make the circle a little bit smaller. Then we're not gonna accept this kind of people and that kind of people. And I know that's extreme, but that is like the essence of bullying. Bullying and Nazi stuff is like it goes so hand in hand because it's like bullies win. Bullies win. I'm sick of it, but they do. And it's because they don't care. They don't have the decency to fucking knock it off for the most part. That's where I'm coming from. And when they don't knock it off, they keep going. And then people feed into it. They're like, oh yeah, that bad idea that I had one time. He said it out loud, and now I don't feel bad about it. Now I feel like I had the worst ideas. Yeah, let's go do violence. It always comes down to violence. It always comes down to just like scapegoating. This is a word I learned in fourth grade. Like, how do you not remember learning scapegoat? How do you not, like, the intention of teaching us this word and about the Nazis is like so we can keep an eye out for this shit so that Nazis don't happen again. It's insidious. That's the fucking problem. So, anyway, 20-minute fucking ramble. Let's hope the microphone worked this time and I didn't hit it too many times. We're about to watch some Tucker Carlson. I'm gonna TLB and eat some cold pizza while we're going, and I'm gonna cut this motherfucker up like I was doing a live stream. So thanks for the 20 gifted subs. I'm handing Mike Pence. Let's roll.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson. Tonight it is Friday, so we are thrilled to be able to open the show tonight with some rare good news. That doesn't happen very often, and when it does, we celebrate. One of the main problems with the U.S. government is that there's no way to know exactly what it's doing. because you're not allowed to know. More than 1 billion federal documents, 1 billion, have been declared classified, and that means they're off limits to you and all other ordinary American citizens who don't work for the government. You're not allowed to see them, despite the fact they belong to you. Now, no matter what you may have heard, the point of the system is not to protect the country from foreign adversaries. Under the Biden administration, we don't even bother to do that anymore. No, the point of this system is to take power from the voters and the officials they elect and hand that power to the permanent bureaucracy in Washington. It's infuriating, and over time it is dangerous. But for once, we can report some meaningful pushback against this regime of secrecy and deceit. Kevin McCarthy of California became Speaker of the House last Friday. And in one of his first big policy changes, he is pledging to let Americans see, quote, all that happened at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. And that means finally releasing the roughly 14,000 hours of surveillance footage from that day that, as of tonight, remain hidden. Watch this.
Yeah, I think the public should see what has happened on day. I've watched what Nancy Pelosi did, where she politicized it, where for the first time in the history as a speaker.
I've got to pause that right there. I know I'm not reacting to Tucker Carlson here. I know I've let this roll for a few minutes already. Actually, not that long. This man just said Nancy Pelosi politicized January 6th. This word gets thrown around like a hand grenade. Politicians politicize. But aside from that, to pretend that the motivations of the riot at the Capitol, the insurrection on January 6th, was not politically motivated is so condescendingly arrogant. Arrogantly condescending? Arrogantly condescending. You would have to be completely oblivious to any of the before, after, during, any of it to think that that was not a politically motivated riot and insurrection. The government, the Congress, the Senate, they were literally signing, okay, this election happened. And the insurrectionists literally were preventing the democratic process from taking place. It's political.
Politicization of this. I think the American public should actually see all what happened instead of a report that's written for a political basis. And I think the answer. We're looking through that. I want to be very thoughtful about it. But
we saw what happened, though.
Yeah. After 2 full years, after a highly publicized and a highly politicized congressional committee, after endless grandstanding in the media, after unprecedented political crackdowns, after nearly 1,000 arrests, after all of that, Americans, yes, they do have a right to know what actually happened on January 6th.
Who doesn't know what happened?
Said. Who could argue otherwise? What's the counter argument? Well, there is one, and Democrats have been making it in court, and that's why the footage from that day is still hidden. Here's an actual quote from an actual brief filed in an actual federal court by an actual left-wing U.S. attorney called Channing Phillips. Quote, national security interests could be harmed by the disclosure of the sealed CCTV videos from the Capitol. Once the capabilities of the U.S. Capitol interior surveillance camera, including its position and whether it pans, tilts, or zooms, is disclosed to the public by the release of a single video from that camera, the cat is out of the bag.
Do you understand, like, the quote that he's reading here? They're literally saying, if we release the footage that we picked up with the security cameras in these secure locations, it will reveal to the public the location of these cameras, their movement schedule. Like, it is actually, there are actual national security implications here. And I'm not an educated political scientist. This is actual common sense. Because if, like, let's say those cameras were already released to the public. Those cameras, you could just go to whitehouse.gov and log into the security cameras and just poke around, just look around at the security cameras. Do you think that would have made the events of January 6th more violent? Because I do. Anyway, moving on.
So that's it right there. You can't know.
Like, now I don't know if I'm gonna make it through this whole episode, you guys. Look how happy he is with himself. Like, he's framing this as though the authorities, right, are talking down to the rest of us and treating us like we're ignorant and stupid with like a made up argument pertaining to the national security threat that the location and behaviors of these cameras and that information poses. Like, you don't understand anything if you don't understand that. Because, like I said, if those insurrectionists had that information going into January 6th, it would have been so much worse.
It's completely absurd. Every human movement in the United States Capitol is recorded by cameras. And you already knew that because the same is true in virtually every public building in the Western Hemisphere. That is not a secret. And of course, it's not the secret the Democrats fear you might learn if you saw the tape. They're probably a lot more concerned about whether you'll discover how many law enforcement agents actively helped January 6th protesters enter the building that day. Some of them definitely did. We know that for a fact because we have the tape. Watch.
Police are squabbling with protesters. Oh, there we go. And they just breached the Capitol again.
Like Tucker, with the quotes on Insurrection Day. Tucker. That, I guess, is a straw man, right? You're trying to say, like, oh, they don't want you to see how many of the cops, like, we're helping people. But that's not what they're saying. And, like, what they're saying is an actual, logical, rational explanation. And instead of taking the rational, logical explanation, like, you have to be a free thinker about it. You have to make up your own mind, right? So, and this is just me doing the same thing, Chucky. I'm just listening to what you're saying, and I don't appreciate your tone. I fully am not vibing with this tone. Let's move on.
So you saw the barricades come down in front of the Capitol. In some cases, it was not actually the police who took them down. We still don't know the identity of the people who did. Why don't we? Well, Julie Kelly has just reported on a remarkable moment in the ongoing trial of a man called Richard Barnett. Barnett is the man photographed with his feet famously on Nancy Pelosi's desk on January 6th. Under cross-examination from Barnett's defense lawyer this week, a U.S. Capitol Police commander called, here's the exchange.
Okay. Why does he keep saying these people are called and then saying their names? That's not really like a big gripe, but it is a little off-putting. Okay, let's see what we're talking about.
The defense attorney asks, quote, would it be fair to say that at least some of the leading edges of that crowd, they contained bad people or provocateurs? Is that fair? Mendoza's response, quote, it's fair. Mendoza went on to confirm that these provocateurs were, quote, highly trained, violent people who work together and coordinate together. Well, that's a remarkable admission. But who were these people?
Well, Tucker, I don't know, but I know there was Zip Tie Guy, and I know there. I don't have the resources that you do, Chuck. So when I say that I know about the footage of, these Proud Boy types instigating shit and having weapons across the river for when Trump calls in the fucking Insurrection Act and or whatever, and so on and so on. Just like you know about all those cities that burned down in the Black Lives Matter summer, right? And all the refugees from those cities, and how how the entire landscape of American urban life has changed in the aftermath. So many refugees after those cities burned down.
Under oath, the director of the FBI has refused to deny that these provocateurs were working with federal law enforcement. Indeed, Christopher Wray.
I mean, they definitely didn't have to be working with federal law enforcement. They could just be working amongst themselves as one of these independent militias, that you hear so much about being so well regulated.
If the FBI has refused to confirm or deny that FBI agents dressed as Trump supporters and breached the Capitol. Watch this.
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being open?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no. Can you not tell the American people no? We did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol.
Gentleman's time has expired.
You should not read anything into my decision not to share information.
Director Ray,
confidentially.
Gentleman's time has expired.
Well, that's just completely outrageous. First, it seems very obvious the FBI did have confidential sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol. But the fact is, as Americans, have an absolute right to know. How many FBI agents or informants participated in the January 6th riots? Why can't we know?
I mean, this is kind of refreshing because, from my outside perspective, I would have assumed that he was going to say, like, Antifa. Antifa are the provocateurs. But he's on this, like, the FBI had agents doing the fucking insurrection. I guess, is that what you guys are crunching? That's what you guys are knocking around the old... Wow, okay. Okay, so, like, I see your FBI agents with the indication that it would be like a deep state operation. And I raise you how many police officer and probably FBI agents participate in these independent urban militias and rural militias. Like, how many of these agents are also members of these various clubs that have these white supremacist stuff in usually, but like also just happen to be violent clubs of violence, clubs that glamorize and enthuse for violence. I'm not going to name any more names. I already said one. I don't even want to say it.
There's no good reason. FBI Director Christopher Wray wants to keep the surveillance footage hidden so we can't know. Again, the real secret here is not whether the cameras in the Capitol pan, tilt, or zoom.
Yes, it is.
It's ridiculous.
No, it's not.
The real secret is what really happened there. So for 2 years, the Department of Justice has fought the release of this footage. But still, some of that footage has emerged. Take a look at this tape. It was obtained by BuzzFeed. It was released only after a federal judge rejected the DOJ's claim that this particular footage needed to stay secret on, quote, national security grounds. National security grounds. The footage covers a 15-minute period on January 6th from 2:25 p.m. to 2:40 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, that's right in the middle of the so-called insurrection.
So-called.
For context, 2:26 p.m. is around when Mike Pence, then the vice president, was evacuated from the Capitol.
But I want to hear the Pence.
From a surveillance camera at the Senate wing of the complex. And they show people calmly walking around taking pictures. Not much of a riot. Now, that's relevant because the DOJ is charging some of the people who entered the Capitol around this time, probably including some of the people in those frames, with endangering the safety of Mike Pence. They're saying the Capitol itself was a restricted area because Mike Pence was present.
Yeah.
But it does not appear from that footage that it's true.
Oh.
Where exactly was Mike Pence at the time?
Oh.
People are doing jail time as a result.
So for Chucky here, the presence of all those peaceful protesters in the halls of Congress, that is irrelevant. That is not a security threat to the vice president, let alone national security, nor is the presence of and placement of various security cameras in our national government buildings. I just, because like, you know how, or you can imagine, right? Like when a big surge of people enters a place, how like the head of that movement would be very visceral and knock things over and poop on stuff, and then like the people who come in behind are kind of just like in this vacuum now. They're in this space where like we don't have to push our way in. Like I can walk around and take pictures of myself and like, oh, we took over the government. Like that's what you're seeing in that footage is people who think that they have really done something. Like I just
of assumptions about that question. But the rest of us can't verify it because the surveillance footage is still classified for national security reasons.
I have a question. I have a question. I just took a bite of food and this fucking clown is killing me. I'm never gonna make it through this show. But how do people who went to January 6th deal with this? Like I know you can lie to me. You can lie to me about why you went, and you will lie to me because you're ashamed. But like, do you not watch this shit anymore? Like, are you like even more radicalized now? Is that something we need to be looking out for? You know what I mean? Because I know why you went there. You know why you went there. We both know why you did a January 6th. And how do you deal with like this is your side? Chucky here is your side. He's telling your side like how to feel and think, and he's telling them to think like, oh, these guys weren't trying to overthrow the government. Like, weren't you though? Weren't you though? Weren't you kind of trying to overthrow the government, like literally by forcefully showing force? Like, do it this way. I overthrow you.
We should see it. That footage might also show when exactly Capitol police officers began CPR on Roseanne Boylan, one Trump supporter who died that day, and that would be important to know as well for her family and for the rest of us. We might also learn about why one Capitol Hill police officer on January 6th, a man called Khalid Johnson, was wearing a MAGA hat as he seemed to coordinate with some of the protesters. That footage was shot by journalist Ford Fisher. You're seeing an image of it on your screen right now.
I'm just going to speculate off the top of my head. I don't know this guy from Adam, and I do not think it is impossible at all for that police officer to have picked up a fucking red hat and put it on so he didn't get beaten to death. Speculation.
And maybe we'll learn more about the Chewbacca guy, the guy in the Viking hat, his activities during January 6th.
Didn't you do an interview with this guy? Am I misremembering that? I feel like you did an in-depth fucking interview with this guy. You call him the Chewbacca guy? Whoa.
Man now serving almost 4 years behind bars for declining a police officer's half-hearted request that he take the party elsewhere.
Yes.
You good, sir? Do you need medical attention?
I'm good, thank you. All right. I got shot in the face. I got shot in the face with some kind of plastic bullet.
Any chance I could get you guys to leave the Senate wing?
We will. I've been making sure they ain't disrespecting the place.
Okay, just want to let you guys know this is like the sacredest place.
More than half of all murders in the United States are not solved at this point because law enforcement, including federal law enforcement, can't get its act together sufficiently to solve those murders. And that guy has had his life destroyed and is spending 41 months in prison. Why? Did he do something we're not aware of? The surveillance footage would show us and answer that question.
Like, no, that footage showed us. Like, that's egregious. You're not allowed to be there. You know you're not allowed to be there. There's nothing on the security footage. There's not him slipping a fucking FBI guy a $500 bill. There's nothing that this guy is maybe, I think, speculating about. Like this, understand imagery and icons, iconography. A little bit, like Tucker, a little bit. I'm not interested. I'm not going to try to do a Tucker Carlson or Ben Shapiro impersonation. Not now, at least. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But like you're asking these questions that don't make any sense. Like, what are you asking about? You're asking about what did he do on the secret cameras that we're not allowed to see that made his sentence so bad? Like, what he did there was bad. There weren't, like, you might I guess rationalize to yourself like, well, he surely wasn't the only person who stood up there and went, oh, it's just that he had all the goofy makeup on, and so people took the most pictures of that, and that's the image that we see. Like, no, I think he's probably the only one. Like the guy who took the little podium, like there was only one of those. There was one guy who did that. And so he specifically fucked himself by doing this specific ass shit. Like all these milling about, people in the Capitol, I understand. I do sympathize to a certain degree, getting caught up in the fucking mess. But like that's why I'm handing Mike pens, so like nobody gets caught up in the mess, because like you did a insurrection, you guys. Like, can we talk yet? Like, can we please have a conversation? I think maybe somebody is manipulating you using your own internal biases and reinforcing them to make you feel good, and otherizing, marginalizing groups to make it okay to do violence to them. And I just I know you're a good person, and I don't think that's what you're trying to do. So like if I'm wrong and you are consciously uh associating with and cohorting with Nazis, like it comes back to Nazis. You guys are playing, you guys are meddling with forces you don't possibly understand.
But big picture, if you don't want another January 6th, if you want to avoid another riot like that, you'd want as much of the footage to come out as possible.
No, because the thing I said before, how if they had that footage before, January 6th would have been January 7th. It would have been even worse.
Instead, our government has been using the information blackout it claims is necessary for national security in order to do what they usually do under the cover of classification law, and that's lie to us. Joe Biden just claimed on camera that right-wing insurrectionists, racists, killed a Capitol police officer called William Evans. William Evans, of course, was murdered at a checkpoint by a supporter of the Nation of Islam.
3 months after January 6th, while they're still cordoning off the Capitol because threats by these sick insurrectionists continue to
get them, Joe,
be propagated on the internet.
He's looking right at you, Chuck.
Again, all America saw what happened.
Chuck.
What Officer Evans was killed defending the checkpoint he'd had to go through to get up to the Capitol because of these god-awful sick threats.
Evil thrives in secrecy. That used to be obvious to all Americans.
You can see one of my TikTok videos about how I feel using the word evil and how you are intentionally or unintentionally dehumanizing your opponent for the purposes of normalizing and accepting, wanting to, and doing of violence onto them.
We have a right to know, and moreover, transparency is the only solution. And it looks like we're going to get some. And that's thanks to the new Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, and to the small group of Republicans who pushed him in that direction. Matt Gaetz of Florida is one of them. He joins us now. Congressman, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh my God. You guys, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm so glad I'm not a streamer. I mean, if I were a streamer, I could just roll with it, I guess. It would be a little easier. Since I'm editing this, it might be worse. But, like, okay. At the beginning of this, I said I just picked I'm just playing yesterday's show. Okay, so, okay. Today's January 14th, 2023. And I said, like, I don't know anything that's really going on. Like, I didn't pick this episode for any purpose, but, like, oh man, the fact that we're about to have a Matt Gaetz interview. This guys, I'm gonna have to hand Mike Pence. Give me a second.